I don't know about you, but for a dude, I thought the messaging of this movie was all over the place. Chase Liaki here with the Blue Futon reviewing Babygirl. What's about? Pretty simple premise. You have a very, very high profile female CEO, Nicole Kidman, and she meets an intern, Harry Dickinson, not mistaken. And you know what? An fling happens, and is it whose fault? Will Antonio Banderas, Nicole Kidman's husband, get involved? What about the kids? What about the company? What about her, secretary slash, protege in this whole freaking scenario? So did I like this film? Honestly, I thought it was okay. A lot of people are loving this film for what it is, and while I think Nicole Kidman does deserve an Oscar nomination for this film, I think this movie was just too all over the place with the messaging and the writing and what it was trying to say, because some characters I felt like didn't get the shine that they needed, and just the overall ending just was a flat fizzle Diet Coke that just is so flat that you just don't want to drink it ever again. So talk about the positives of the film. Like I said, I do think Nicole Kidman and Antonio Banderas do fantastic. Actually, I think it's Antonio Banderas is kind of getting overlooked. There's especially a scene where Nicole Kidman tells him what is happening, and you're just like, right there, Oscar nomination scene, right there. And I would give it to him over a lot others in this category right now. The score of the movie, absolutely pulsating, bombastic, and truly worked. Like every time the score was on hearing, or every time you could hear the senses and the vibe the score was trying to tell you, even though it was a heavy-handed score, but it was a score that totally put you in the scene, and I truly dug what it was doing. So in my opinion, I would put the Babygirl score in one of the top 5 positions in the Oscars, hands down. So that's where I say score and the actual Nicole Kidman and Antonio Banderas are the top 3 Oscar contentions, just in my opinion, for this movie, but only one of them might happen, and that's Nicole Kidman. For the look of the movie, I think it's fine. It does what it's supposed to do with, having the different environments in New York and what we're trying to do with the long shots, like she's in the car, or this weird tunnel club. Sure, it works at what it was trying to do. Okay, let's just talk about the messaging and the writing of the film, because I think this is where the movie kind of veers left field for me, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Okay, it starts off basically with the dog attacking Nicole Kidman. He has a biscuit, blah blah blah. You see in the trailer, but how the movie, like, there's a little subliminal messaging and like cuts back to like a dog being on her or her being as a child, and something happens at the very end where the main dude, the intern, is playing with the dog, and at that point, are they trying to say is women are seen as dogs? That they want to be controlled, and men, all they do is want to control females, because female dogs are called bitches. So I don't know if there is a subliminal messaging of what the director was trying to say there. The reason I get confused with that is different things that happen in the story, especially one where her lesbian daughter is, cheating on her girlfriend, and Nicole Kidman questions that, and that, questioning is like, oh, I really love her, but this is a separate thing that, like, pushes Nicole Kidman over the edge to do what she is going to do with this intern. Okay, fair enough. But then throughout the story, when she is talking to Antonio Banderas about why she has these fantasies, I wouldn't say they make him the bad guy, but you're supposed to try and feel sorry for her instead of him. And Antonio Banderas, the whole time as a husband, seemed like he's been supportive, seemed like he's been there for the kids the whole time, seemed like he's just been a good vanilla guy. And I think that's the interesting part is, are they saying vanilla guys are just not the right guys at all in this film, or just in general? Because then at a point I get confused, because she is a CEO and she is taking control of all these people, and she's a high power woman, right? But then it also is like showing that maybe she doesn't want to be in this position, and she wants to be controlled, and she wants to lick milk out of a saucer. So it's things like that where I just kind of get confused with what the movie is trying to tell men, what it's trying to tell female. And the backstabbing in this movie, I wouldn't really call it backstabbing, but it's subtle jabs, especially with her receptionist, or the person, her secretary, if you want to put it that way. Is she's like, I know what's happening with the intern. I'm not going to tell anyone because I want you to be in this position, because if you leave, they're probably going to replace it with a male, and I'm going to use you to get up the ladder. There's a Motionless in White song called The Ladder about like a girl walking to the room, and it's called like who does she fuck and who does she have to fuck, and who do other women have to fuck to get to where she's going. So it's an interesting, it's not a literal fuck, it's probably like fuck people over, and this is what the secretary is kind of doing, in my opinion, with Nicole Kidman of, hey, you're gonna stay there, but I'm gonna fuck you over very subtly to get to where I'm going. And it's kind of weird because that happens, and like 7 to 10 minutes later, she does this kind of closing dialogue of what this company is of inclusivity and making women stronger in the workplace. But it's like, but you're going to get your position by blackmailing and fucking other people over. And maybe because I don't know the corporate landscape, and that could be true, but I don't know if there's a good guy or bad guy in this movie, and I don't know what the director/writer is trying to portray to being who the bad guy and who the good girl, bad guy is supposed to be in this film. Because then something else happens at the end about a transfer and things like that. So I guess at a point, I don't know what the overall message of this movie is. Is it girls deserve to be CEOs, but at the same time deserve to have leeway in their marriage? Because this feels like a cuck move by Antonio Banderas, because she cheated on him. He knows it. She blames it on fantasies. Then he kind of just goes to act like it never happened, and he starts, finger banging her at the very end of the film. And I'm just like, what's the point of this film, and what is the overall message? Is it okay for women to cheat if they're in high power positions or in general, and the husband should just be okay with it? Because she's had dark fantasies and she's never had controlled her orgasm or things like that. So the husband's just like, okay, I'm just going to finger bang you and we're going to be okay, and for the children. Because shit like that, I just can't get behind. Overall, Babygirl, I was honestly disappointed with this film. I was going into it expecting like a very exotic, erotic thriller with just oh shit moments, but at the end of the day, the messaging was all over the place in my opinion, and just the overall like ending and conclusion was such a whimper, where I just felt like most of the audience members felt the same way of like, oh, that's it. I'm a little disappointed. So Babygirl will receive a 2.5 out of 5 of Futon, so it goes at 50%. So see, the critics and user scores gave this one. Oh, it's Harris Dickinson. My fault. Anyway, critics a 77% with 139 of them. Audience score 54% with over 250. Critic consensus. Nicole Kidman and Harris Dickinson memorably smolder together in Babygirl, with writer-director Halina Reijn's clinical gaze keeping the sexually frank thriller more provocative than pertinent. I'm curious what this director has done as well. If I liked any of her other stuff. She did Bodies, which that was also to me mid. Yeah, all of her stuff has never really hit me strong. Anyway, my 50, the 5477 Chase Lock here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm this Blue Futontopia. You Blue Tony. Take a watch and have a great day. Watch this tape tomorrow, week, for a month, or a year from every single freaking one of you. Peace and love. And yeah, I can't agree with the message.